Hi, I want to introduce to you today two new friends. This is Noodle and this is Doodle. These are two characters that I created to help me learn to draw, and I've been making cartoons out of them. I asked them to join us today so that I could use them as an illustration of what it's like to see when you're visually impaired. If you're watching this video, you most likely already have low vision or you're visually impaired, or you wouldn't be interested in the content. So this video, I'm kind of directing towards those that can see, that are full-sighted, and may want to or not understand what exactly it looks like when you're trying to look with low vision. So this is Noodle and this is Doodle, and these are some of the cartoons I've done. You might ask, how can I do this when I'm visually impaired? I've used the app Procreate, and I explained in another video how Procreate can help me create these characters in these cartoons. So this is what you see them looking like normally. Now, I'm going to show you what it may look like with a person that is visually impaired. So are you ready? Let's look at this. There. Now, does that seem a little extreme? It might, because not everybody's at the same level, same stage of their impairment, and different diseases have different symptoms. I am legally blind. When I look at a distance, I can very possibly see just like this. So there's different degrees, but there's also different symptoms based on the stages that you're in and based on your retinal or your macular disease. So you can have this smudginess that you see here in the tree. You can have wavy lines, double vision, distortion of all kinds, and blank spots. Those are all the things that a visually impaired can see. Now, to the degree, again, that is individual. I'm not saying everybody sees this bad. Some people even seem worse. Some people need to use a white cane and other blind tools because their visual impairment is just that bad. But I'm in a couple of Facebook low vision, visually impaired MACTEL groups, and one topic of conversation that almost always comes up rather frequently is how to tell and make people understand who are full-sighted how they're seeing. So I'm using this today as an example of how a visually impaired person might see. But the second topic is what I really want to focus on. Another frequent thing has come up is that the visually impaired sometimes feel isolated or ignored or misunderstood by the full-sighted. Now, if you are full-sighted and you're watching this, I'm going to assume it's because you care about the person you know that is visually impaired and you want to understand what they're going through. So I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for myself. One thing that matters to me more than anything is when you are visually impaired, you do learn to live with it. I mean, you just do. It's you, it's your eyes, this is your life, and you learn to live with it. But every now and then, something might happen to cause you to be discouraged. Say you have a new grandbaby, and you just so much want to see that face, and you can't, because his face doesn't look like that. His face looks like that, or maybe one eye, or maybe the mouth is crooked, and you want to see that perfect, beautiful face that you can't. I'm not making these stories up or these illustrations up. These have been things that people talked about, and many have said one of the things they miss most is seeing their grandchildren's face. So there's days that we get discouraged and we feel down. And I know from my experience that I have a good support network of people. I have a lot of people that care about me, a lot of people that understand. But sometimes I'll talk to somebody and I'll be down and I'll try to explain, why I'm being bothered that particular day. And there's total silence, just silence. They don't know what to say. It's not that they're trying to just ignore me. They just don't know what to say. because they can't understand what it's like to see. Or maybe they change the subject because it's just too hard to address. Now, this has not happened to me, but it has been talked about in the groups by other people, where they have a feeling that people do not believe, really understand, but more than just not understand. They don't believe they're seeing as bad as they are. Because with visual impairment, it isn't anything you can see. If a person's in a wheelchair, I mean, that you can see. You can see their disability. But if it's just the eyes, then you can't tell what that person's going through. You can't even tell if they have a disability unless they tell you. And sometimes it appears they could see better because, like what I'm doing. I've had somebody ask me, how can you do that when you can't see? And the question was not, I don't believe you that you can't see. The question was, I'm curious, how can you do this? So sometimes it might look like a person can see better than they do, and therefore somebody may question them, and they feel that that person doesn't believe that they're seeing as badly as they do. So one of the best things you can do, as we can do for anybody going through anything, is listen. When somebody's upset and they're discouraged and they're trying to talk about their eyes, especially if they're trying to tell you how they see, listen. Try to imagine what they're talking about. When I'm explaining to my husband or somebody at different stages, I'm legally blind now, but as my disease was progressing, different things would happen. And I would use them for an example. Like when my husband, all of a sudden I started seeing only one eye. And I would tell him, I'm looking at you right now and I'm only seeing one eye. Listen to what the person is saying and try to imagine what it's like seeing like that. And there's really nothing you can say to make the person feel better, but just being there, listening to them, supporting them, letting them know that you believe them, validating their feelings, and just letting them know that you're willing to try to understand. Another thing is what's been talked about is the feeling of isolation. People don't want to take a visually impaired person with them. Thankfully, again, I don't have that problem, but many do. And a lot of that, I think, might be just, again, a lack of understanding of what to do, an uncomfortableness and an awkwardness. Before I started to lose my vision, I have a friend that is blind, and she taught me how to help her. So, she the first time she was in my house, she needed to find the restroom. In fact, every time, because she's not familiar with my house. So I went to show her how to go to the bathroom. She says, no, do this. And she stuck out her arm and showed me how to guide her. So what you can do for a visually impaired person, if you want to help them, is ask them, how can I help you? What do you need help with this? Do you need help with this? Don't avoid being with them because of the awkwardness. They're not visually impaired. Only their eyes are visually impaired. So just, ask them, what can I do? Do you need me to open the door? Do you need me to carry this? If you're shopping, do you want me to read the price tags? It might be more take longer to get through a store, but if this is a loved one or a friend, you can have a good time too. I mean, my blind friend and her best friend, who was a friend of mine, they had some hysterical stories about when they would be out together and the things that would happen because of my friend's loss of vision. So include them in your life. Don't feel awkward, but ask them, how can I help? And another thing is too, we tend not to think about this kind of thing, but there's transportation, all kinds of public transportation available to the visually impaired. There's ways of getting around, but it can take twice as long. So if you hear somebody that has low vision or visually impaired, unable to drive, and they say they got to go do this or do that, and you're free, offer to take them. that's one way of showing that you care about what they're going through. And just to make their day just easier for them, just offer to give them a ride and take them to where they got to go. Stop for lunch, make a good time of it. It's bad enough to not be able to see, but it's horrible to feel that you're losing connection with people. We are social beings. It's why COVID was so hard. We need to be with people, but we need to be with people that understand and not belittle what we're going through. Belittle's not the right word, but just understand, validate that what they're going through is real and that you care about them and their feelings. Nothing in a relationship should have to change just because one is visually impaired. None of my relationships with anybody have changed, but it has to a lot of people. And that's why I wanted to do this video, because I really do believe that it isn't that the loved ones don't care. That's a poor heart. But it isn't that people don't care. It's just that they don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. But it to that person, it translates to they don't care about me or they don't believe me. So that's why I wanted to do this video. Take a look at this picture again, even though I messed it up pretty bad with all my scribbling. But that's what the person is seeing. It is a real thing. It's as real as any other disease. It's an eye disease. It's a retinal disease. It's a macular disease. It's a real disease. And no more would you shun somebody else that had a physical ailment. Why shun somebody that has an ophthalmological, and that I killed that word, but why shun somebody just because they're visually impaired? Just remember, the eyes are visually impaired, not the person. They're the same person they always were, who you always loved and enjoyed their company with. So I just wanted to I don't want to sound like I'm lecturing. I just wanted to explain from the point of view that those that are visually impaired, have low vision, whatever way you want to say it, legally blind. I just wanted to kind of speak for all of them and give their perspective, and hope that you will accept what I've said is, just coming from the heart, just to speak out for a section of the community that is feeling isolated and alone at times. So that's